Hey there. Are you maybe someone who's looking into getting into acting, but you feel like it's too late for you to start because you're 25 and you've never done it before, but it's always something that you wanted to do? Or maybe you're in your early 30s and you're just like really unsatisfied. Or later, like you could be in your 40s, 50s, 90s. Doesn't really matter. I'm here to tell you that it's not too late, but things will be a little different for you than it probably was for your friends who like decided to do acting right out of the gate out of high school or college. So I'm Nicole. I am a New York-based artist, actor, creator, and I started my acting journey, I feel like pretty late in the game because I was already like 27, 28 when I decided to like really be serious about it. I'd taken like improv classes and, acting classes in college, but I didn't go to an acting school at all. And I wouldn't say that I'm like a working actor at all right now. I don't know, but I definitely feel like I'm in the mix, It's part of my everyday life. I'm always thinking about it. I'm always working on it. And that makes me feel like an actor. So I just want to talk today about a few things that I wish I had known like going into it this late, because I didn't really know anybody who had ever started later in their life. Like everyone who I knew who had made this transition were like, had been doing it for years and years and knew they wanted to do this in high school. And I was somebody that like, I knew I wanted to do it, but I wanted to do other things. I wanted to see, like, they always tell you, like, if there's something that you would rather do than acting, do that. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I will figure that out and I will spend like 10 years and figure out if that's something I still want to do. Because I was like a big theater kid in high school. But I wasn't sure if that, like, I wanted that to be my identity outside, like after high school and into college. So here I am, still a theater kid, still wanting to get back into it, but it's definitely different, I think, for people who are getting into it later in life and like in your 30s than in your 20s. The first thing I wish somebody told me was like the financial strain. There's a lot of startup costs that are very expensive to kind of get your foot into the door. And I feel like I did not plan very well for all of that. I mean, I've always been someone who's like really okay with working like minimum wage jobs and, I hate working in corporate America, but that's put me in certain financial strains. I personally feel like the people who I've seen now that I have friends who are like me and have started this journey late in their life, the people who are like really thriving and get to have a lot more freedom in terms of like taking classes and booking jobs and being able to take care of themselves financially while pursuing acting, like with the most rigor, are probably the people who spent their 20s like making money and making a lot of money and like putting themselves in really good financial position to do that. I know it's not for everybody, but I think it's really important to understand like the startup costs of an acting career. You're taking classes. I mean, you don't have to take classes, but I personally highly recommend taking classes because you don't want to show up, in an audition and not know what you're doing. It just makes you look like an amateur, and then it's a bad first impression with the casting director. I can go on and on about that. But anyway, but you do need to take classes and, now taking casting workshops and using that as an avenue to meet casting directors, meeting agents and managers. Like a lot of times that costs money. You need to get headshots. I mean, like every year you're probably looking to spend like a few grand on your acting career and things that you need to do to like sharpen up your skills. And I think it's totally worth it if this is something that you want to do. I mean, like doctors go to medical school and pianists take piano lessons. And so why is it different for actors? They should be working on their craft as well. And it's just expensive to do that. I think also being in your 30s financially is very different than being in your 20s. Like in your 20s, you're probably okay with like having roommates and eating ramen noodles every night and not going out to eat. But in your 30s, like you might want to go see a show and live alone and, you know, not have to like start planning for your future. And if you want to like have a family or get married and all of those things. And it's just really important to keep in mind planning for the future, but also if this is something that you want to get into, you know, not quitting your day job. I think also like when you're starting in your like early teen or late teens, early 20s, a lot of people are studying it already in school. And so that takes off a lot of like, your job is to study acting, which is really different than as an adult. Like you have to fit all of this work around your day job. If it's, you know, something that you still need to have. You're going to work from 9 to 6, and then you need to do all this work for your auditions or for class, and you have to have the energy and the stamina. And we're already tired in our 30s, so I wish somebody had told me like how much work goes into it. And I feel like it's hard to like understand, and I'm trying to create this channel in a way that like shows you how much work goes into these things. And I'm not even like going at it full force. So it just takes a lot of energy and a lot of work to do this as a job, because you're also, for the first couple of years, you're your own manager. Like you're submitting yourself. You are your own PR person. Like you have to constantly be posting on social media and, you know, all the things that come with like being an actor and networking and like business stuff. If you could take care of yourself like financially ahead of time, and you know that you like want to make this transition, start saving. Number 2, and I started touching on this, was that it takes a lot of time, energy, and just dedication and trust. In terms of like time, I am like on my 5th year of doing this, and things happen kind of slowly. It takes a really long time to like create the networks around you and the community around you to like get the ball rolling for you to start working a lot. And maybe that's just also like I haven't been putting myself out there as much, but you know, even people I know who have spent like every waking moment networking and going to workshops and doing all these things, like they're not necessarily like booking more than I am. A lot of it is dependent on luck and the industry. You know, the industry's been a little crazy the past couple years with the strikes and COVID. It's really important to not internalize your lack of forward progression, or like your perceived lack of forward progression when it comes to like progressing in your acting career. Because like one of my goals last year was like to get a very, very, very small part on like a TV show. And with the strike, that just didn't happen. And I could beat myself up about not doing it, or I could just be like, you know what, some things are out of my hands. But also, like Sanford Meisner says that it takes 20 years to master the craft of acting. And in his DVD, like a lot of his really famous students were like, I can't believe he said that. Like, what is he talking about? I'm paying him to teach me acting in 2 years. And then 20 years pass and they're like, oh my God, I know what he means now. And so me starting now, I'm like, I'm only 5 years into this. And, you know, every day I'm learning something else. I'm learning something new. I know I've like mastered, or as good as I can, certain elements of acting, but like I am a long way from being like a craftsman, a master at this. And I think it takes a lot of humility to be like, it's still worth doing, even if it's going to take a very long time. But also like day to day, it takes a lot of time and energy and work. Like I said, you're submitting yourself, you are staying up to date on the industry, you're reading scripts, you're reading plays, you're going to see plays. Like this is a lifestyle in order to like stay relevant and knowing what's happening in the industry. So just keep that in mind, unless this is something that you just want to do for fun. I feel personally like you don't have to make this your job. I think it is a wonderful thing to be able to do this as a job and do something that you really love and you're really passionate about. But points 1 and 2, like, don't expect this to pay your bills right off the bat. And one of my teachers would probably argue, like, ever, like, to solely expect acting to pay for your bills, unless, you get really lucky. And I hope you do get really lucky, but don't stress yourself out wanting to be lucky. Like, don't put all your eggs in the basket to be lucky. I have done that in the past, and you just never know what life's going to throw at you. And I think having like some semblance of safety is really important for my personal mental health, and probably for you as well, unless you're somebody who's very risk averse and like okay with not being able to pay your bills or not being able to like do certain things in your life. You're also probably going to be taking classes like forever. I don't know, like, it's really interesting when I tell people to like do certain classes and it takes like 2 years to go through a class. They're like, that's too long. Like, that's too much of a commitment for me. And I'm like, well, how long do you want to be an actor for? Like, if you only want to do it for a few months, then like go for it. Like, start auditioning, do whatever you want. See how far it gets you. Like, if it works out, amazing. Like, I'm really happy for you. But if it doesn't, and you do want to end up like doing this as your career and for the rest of your life, like, what's 2 years out of the rest of your life? And it's going to be such an enriching period of your life too, like being in school for that like, I don't know, I wouldn't want to miss out on it personally. Number 3 is that being a working actor is very different than being a famous actor. Those things definitely, like, there's a Venn diagram, but there are working actors who you don't know who they are, and they work all the time. They might not be in like really, juicy, like lead roles all the time, but they're working regularly. They're booking commercials. They are booked and busy, and they're making a full-time living, like a really comfortable middle-class full-time living off acting. And I think when I learned this, it really blew my mind, because I felt like this huge pressure to become something else, like something bigger than me, and to meet like a lot of people who they've dedicated their lives to this work, this industry, and to see them succeed. Like, there's a lot of freedom in being unknown too. I feel like people don't understand that. Being not famous has a lot of privileges. Like, being famous does have privileges, but like, it opened up possibilities for me that like, I thought in order to be an actor, you had to be one way. And then I think it made me realize that like, all of that pressure and expectation is like something that is society placing on me, and like, I don't have to subscribe to that either. Like, there's other possibilities of success, and success looks different to everybody. Number 5, don't overthink it. So I feel like I put off going to acting school for a long time because I just like overthought it to the point where it freaked me out. And I remember like writing in my journal like years and years before I decided to actually take the leap and do it. And this goes for like everything in life, like posting something in public, or like performing, or, doing something you really want to do. Like, you can always stop. You can always quit. You can always stop, but you'll never get the time back of when, you could have been doing it and you were just overthinking it and not doing it. So like, for me, I wish I had started 5 years earlier. I have friends who like have talked about wanting to get into acting for years, and then they never do. And they're in the same place with that part of their life. And I'm like, well, if you'd done it 5 years ago, you wouldn't still be thinking about it. And like, that's a big lesson I've learned in the past year, is getting over I have a teacher who like calls it like brain candy, like getting over the brain candy of like chewing on it and like imagining it's going to be like this amazing thing that's going to make your life so much better. And like, just get into it and try it and do it and mess up, and then you'll really know, and then you can move on with your life. Like if it's not for you, it's not for you. And if it is, like, that's amazing. I don't know, like this career is really, I think, puts people at their most vulnerable, because this work is you. Like, it's very personal once you get into like the actual work of being an actor and like what you're doing on a script. It can get very personal. It's also like, it's your face, it's your body, it's like your being that people are judging. And it's very easy to take it very personally and to feel rejected and feel personally rejected. When people are rejecting you, they're not actually rejecting you. They're like rejecting a perception of you, their perception of you. You have to have a stronger perception of yourself and like have your own back and really love yourself. And that's something that this career path has definitely taught me, is like having a much healthier, loving relationship with me, because I have to be on my own team. I have to believe that I can do it before anybody else does. And maybe that sounds woo-woo, but that's how I'm getting through this. So just don't overthink it. You know, if you want to sign up for the acting class, like, what's $600 in like a lifetime? And if you can't afford that, what's $400? What's $200? Like, just give it a go. What's $50? Like, in your whole lifetime of doing things that you love, you know, money, you can always make that back. The time, you will never get that back. So like, just go for it. And if it doesn't work out, now you know. Now you can go live out your other dreams. Okay. I hope this is helpful. I feel like I just really want this channel to be something like, I'm basically talking to myself like a decade ago and being like, hey, Nicole, this is future you. And, you know, I know you're having these thoughts right now, but like, this is what, just go for it. And like, here's how to plan a little better. And if I can't help past me, I might as well help you. So best of luck with your journey. I wish you every great thing and great realization about yourself and endless learning and love and possibility. And let me know if you have any more questions. You can put them down below in the comments. And until next time, bye.